Okay, we are going to be continuing with our lecture on amino acids. The last time we looked at an introduction, and then we looked at the 20 amino acids, their abbreviation, and their one letter code. This night we are going to look at classification of amino acids. We are going to see how amino acids are being classified. Now, classification of amino acids. Amino acids are classified in four ways. There are four different ways in which we can classify amino acids. One, you can classify amino acids based on their structures. Two, we can classify amino acids based on their side chain character, the character of the side chain. Remember that the side chain is the arrow group. We can classify amino acids based on their nutritional requirements, whether we get them from diet or not. And also we can classify amino acids based on their metabolic fate. Now let's go straight into this. The first classification is based on their structure. And there are three broad categories which we are going to see. And those categories are one. The first one is the monoamino monocarboxylate. In other words, we are looking at amino acids that have one amino group and one carboxylic acid group. So, and this group is further divided into five. And these five are one, the simple amino acids, example, glycine and alanine. Remember, glycine has just a hydrogen group as an arrow group, and then alanine has a methyl group as an arrow group. These two are known as simple amino acids. Now, B, you have the branch amino acids, something like valine, isoleucine, and leucine. Now, these three amino acids that I have just mentioned now, they have branch chain. Okay, their chain are branch. We will see them when we look at the structures. Now we have hydroxyl containing amino acids, where we look at serine and threonine. We also have the sulfur containing amino acid, which is the cysteine and the methionine. Now, cysteine, that's cystine, is just two molecules of cysteine. That's the first one you see there, the cysteine. When they can use sulfur bridge to form two molecules, okay? But they are just the same thing. So, and we have the last one in this group, the amide group containing amino acids, something like asparagine and glutamine. So, these amino acids are the ones we classify based on their structure, and we classify them as monoamino monocarboxylic acid. So, what you're saying, what I have just said so far, is I'm trying to use their structures to represent them now. So you look at glycine. When you look at glycine, you will find out that it's using hydrogen as the arrow group, while alanine is using methyl as the arrow group. So remember, they are monocarboxylic acid, monoamino amino acid. The same thing with alanine, just one. That's what they have. Okay. Now, remember we also mentioned that we have the branched chain amino acid, and we say valine. Look at the arrow group, is branched. Look at this one, the leucine is branched. The isoleucine is also branched. And if you look at it very well, you will still see you have monocarboxylic acid and monoamino group in each and every one of them. Okay. Now, the other group in which you have the hydroxyl containing amino acid, the hydroxyl containing amino acid, and we say we have serine. Look at the hydroxyl group in each and every one of them. So the hydroxyl containing amino acid is still, those ones that contain hydroxyl group. So you say have the mono carboxylic group and the monoamino group 1 1. Okay. Now we still have the aliphatic amino acid. Okay, still on that aliphatic amino acid, the one we are looking at, the monocarboxylic monoamino monocarboxylic acid. We have the ones that contain sulfur. We have the ones that contain sulfur, and those ones that contain sulfur, you have the methionine. You look at this, you see there is sulfur here, and the cysteine, there is sulfur here. So all these ones are sulfur containing. And then we equally have the amide containing amino acid. This one contain amide groups. Okay. And they still have one carboxylic acid, one amino, one carboxylic acid, one amino group. Now look at the amide group. Okay. So these are the first groups of first class of amino acid. Now we have another one, which is the monoamino. They have one amino group, but they have two carboxylic acid groups. That the only two amino acids that are here. You have the aspartate and you have the glutamate. Now let's look at these amino acids. Now when you look at this, you see you have only one amino acid here, but there are two carboxylic acids. You see one and you see two. Okay, look at another one, and this is another one. So these two are carboxylic acid group, but it has only one amino group. So this one, you can classify them based on they having two carboxylic acid, which is dicarboxylic acid group, and then one amino group. And these ones we call them we say that they are aspartate and then glutamate. Aspartate and glutamate. Now we have the ones that are dibasic and monocarboxylic. In other words, we are saying it is containing it is containing a diabasic. That's there are two ammonium groups that are present. Two ammonium groups and two or more ammonium groups, and then one carboxylic acid group. Okay, so when you look at it, you see the first amino group here, you see another amino group, that is two. Okay, when you look at lysine, you still see an amino group and also an amino groups, and these amino groups are charged. Okay, so for arginine and lysine, they are basic amino acids having multiple amino groups and one carboxylic acid group. Okay. We have another group, the aromatic amino acids. When you hear aromatic compound, you're saying that they are compound that has benzene group. So you can always see the benzene group here. Okay, so the amino acids in this class, you have the tyrosine and you have the phenylalanine. Okay, one has a hydroxyphenyl group while the other one has a phenyl group attached to them. Now we have another one that is hydrocyclic amino acids. Hydrocyclic, you can see, sorry, heterocyclic, you can always see the heterocyclic compound. Okay, and we have two of them. You have the tryptophan and you have the histidine. Just also be looking at the structures. Now we have the amino acid. Like I told you in class, amino acid is because the hydrogen there, the nitrogen there is not a primary nitrogen, it's a tertiary nitrogen, something like this. And we are looking at one amino acid called proline. You have another derived amino acid which is hydroxyproline. Okay, but the proline is not an amino acid, and I keep telling us that it is known as amino acids. Now we are still looking at the structure, and we say we have derived amino acids. And these derived amino acid, we have the ones that are non-alpha amino acid, which means why we call them non-alpha amino acid is that the amino group and the carboxylic group are not on the alpha carbon. Okay, so they are non amino acids, something like beta alanine, something like GABA amino butyric acids, gamma amino acid butyric acid, which we call GABA. And then we have the delta amino leuvelinic acid. Okay, all of them, their amino group and their carboxylic group are not on the alpha carbon, so we say that they are non-alpha amino acids. We also have the derived amino acids, and these ones, we have the ones that are derived and they are incorporated into the tissues, and we have the ones that are derived and not incorporated into the tissues. So the ones that are derived and incorporated, we have the hydroxyproline and the hydroxylysine. They are derived. Okay, they are formed out of chemical reaction, so we say that they are derived. But this time around, they are mostly derived, and you find them being incorporated into the protein or into the cell. Now, the ones incorporated amino acids, they are derived but not incorporated. So the ones in that group, we have the citrulline, we have the ornithine, you have the citrulline, you have the homocysteine, you have the adenosinic acid. Okay, adenosinic acid. Now another thing you're going to do is that you're going to draw these structures of ornithine, citrulline, homocysteine, and adenosinic acid. You have to draw the structure of each and every one of them, including the structures of hydroxyproline and hydroxylysine. You have to draw the structures. Okay, now, so those are when you want to classify them based on their structures, what you see in their structures. Now, the second type of classification is the classification based on the side chain character. The classification based on the side chain character. Now, the ones when you look at side chain character, we are trying to look at whether they are polar or whether they are non-polar, whether they are charged or whether they are not charged. Okay, So the first group of amino acids here, we are going to look at amino acid with non-polar side chain. In other words, we are saying that the side chains are not polar at all. And examples are, you have alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine, phenylalanine, um, um, tryptophan, proline, and all these. Most once you look at any amino acid and you don't see anything like sulfur, you don't see anything in that arrow group like oxygen. Probably when you see such, know that those ones are all hydrophobic. Okay, they are all non-polar. Now each of these amino acid has a side chain that does not bind or give us proton or participate in hydrogen bonding. Are you following? Okay, so the side chain are said to be hydrophobic, so they promote what we call hydrophobic interactions. So when you look at the structures, you can see glycine, it has one hydrogen. This you can see when you look at all these structures that are drawn here, you will see that there is no of the arrow chain that you will have oxygen present or sulfur present. Okay, so we call these ones amino acid with non-polar side chain. So take note of this, take note of each and every one of them. Now we have amino acids that we classify. Okay, we have amino acid with polar but not charged. They are polar but they are not charged. They don't contain any charge. Example, you have serine, you have threonine, you have tyrosine, you have cysteine, you have asparagine, you have glutamine. Now these amino acids are uncharged at neutral pH. In other words, when we adjust the pH of neutrality, they can be charged, but we are looking at when they are at pH 7 or at a neutral pH. Now, although these side chains of cysteine, threonine can lose proton in an alkaline pH, okay, we remember what you're saying. We say that on a neutral pH they don't contribute to nitrogen bonding, but when the pH is increased at an alkaline pH, something like cysteine and threonine can participate in hydrogen bonding. Okay, I still went on to say that serine, threonine, tyrosine, and each contain a polar hydroxy group that can participate in hydrogen bond formation. Now, the side chain of asparagine and glutamine contain carbonyl group and amide group, and they can also participate in hydrogen bond formation. Okay, so look at their structures. Look at their structures. You can see the side chain of asparagine and the glutamine that contain an amide group. These two also can participate in hydrogen bond, but we say that they are uncharged. When we meet the ones that are charged, we know. Okay, we have the we have the we have the serine and threonine and tyrosine. Those ones contain the hydroxy group. Okay, they are polar but they are not charged. So we also have the cysteine that is also not charged but they are polar. Now we still under this classification that is based on the chain character. We say we have amino acid with charged side chain, so they are polar and they are charged. And these amino acids with the ones that are positively charged are the ones we say that are basic amino acids, something like lysine, arginine, and histidine. They are positively charged, and then they are basic. Now, the amino acid with negative charge, you have, which we say they are acidic. We have glutamic and aspartic acids. All these ones are negatively charged, and these are their structure. When you look at the structure, look at the high oxygen, look at the oxygen that you have in aspartate. Okay, this oxygen is negatively charged in aspartate and glutamine, but that you have, remember we say they are acidic, but that which you have in lysine and arginine, you can see them, they are positively charged. And also that of the histidine, you will see that they are positively charged. Okay, still under classification of amino acids, we have the ones we call the essential amino acids and the non-essential amino acids. Once you hear anything is essential, it means our body cannot produce them. So anything your body does not produce becomes essential. So essential amino acids are those amino acids that are not produced in the body, but the body depends on them for its normal activity, and you can only get them through diet. Examples are, you have the valine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, threonine, tryptophan, and phenylalanine. Now you have the ones that are semi-essential. Now semi-essential means the body produces them but not in quantity that is required. The body produces them but they are produced in little quantity, and some of these are arginine and histidine. Now apart from these ones I've mentioned, every other ones are non-essential amino acids. Something like glycine, something like alanine, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now finally, we can classify amino acids based on their metabolic fate. Now, what do we mean by based on their metabolic fate? Most amino acids are broken down to form either glucose or a ketone. Okay, so there are amino acids that are, when the amino acid is broken down to ketone, we say they are ketogenic, and when they are broken down to glucose, we say that they are glucogenic. So there are amino acids that can either be broken down to ketone or to glucose based on the need of the body. And this one that has the capacity to go both ways are the ones examples there are isoleucine, tyrosine, phenylalanine, and tryptophan. They can either be ketogenic or glucogenic. Then there are ones that are purely ketogenic. No matter the need of the body, they cannot be broken otherwise. So the ones that are ketogenic, you have the leucine, you have the lysine. Now there are some that are purely ketogenic. Apart from isoleucine, thyroxine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, leucine and lysine, the other 14 that are remaining are all glucogenic. So these are the ways in which we can classify amino acids. Now we have the non-standard amino acids. You don't see them in proteins, but they are quite important in the body. In fact, some textbook will describe them as newly discovered amino acids. So I say that of the over 300 natural occurring amino acids, 20 constitute monomer subunit for protein. The 20 are called primary or standard amino acids. And we are saying that selenocysteine is the 21st amino acid, and the others are the pyroglutamate and the pyrrolysine. These ones can be described as new amino acids, of which some textbooks are silent over them. So what we have, what we have done before. So I think I will stop here, and then see you some other time when we look at the next topic.